What you saying, Noble? Montezuma?
Didn't know. I don't.
So
know
explain to us, brother, who Montezuma was. We are Montezuma's castle.
The story that I read growing up, or when we first was coming up, was that Montezuma was a so-called Mexican king out of so-called Mexico. But what they like to do when they talk to us about individual historical people, they make it like they was only in one place and they never had no connection to nobody else. So in 1492, Columbus would sail the ocean blue, but it was like that's the only thing that happened. When at the same time in 1492, that stuff like that happened, you had the expansion of the Moorish Empire over into the east. You know what I'm saying? So while we was going through stuff over here, we was also still expanding outwardly, you know. So Montezuma himself, coming from the line of so-called Mayan or Aztec kings, was the uh, son of a king who had been deposed before. And then when he came back into power, there was a faction of people that didn't necessarily like how he came back into power because they were the ones that ousted his father. So there was also a indemnity between some of the people at that time. So when Coronado and Cortez and them came, I believe it was Cortez. Yeah, when Cortez came, he is coming as a what they call a Morisco galliard. The Morisco or the galliards were the people we refer to today as like the pseudo pirates or the conquistadors that were contracted by Rome at the time to come over here as a military force and basically try to remake the old empire and the old territory. So when Cortez came here, he came at a time where the kingdom of the Maya was going through this political upheaval. So just like in a plus lessons where it says that at the time that Yakub came, it was like 70% satisfied, 30% dissatisfied. Then you had the 10% that was ruling within that, and then you had the 5% that was trying to free them from the 10%. This is all happening over here. So as that was going down so much, a lot of the people was starting to rebel. Not necessarily rebel, but they were trying to find a way to vote him out. So Cortez and them comes at this time, at this auspicious time in history, and now they going to Montezuma like, look, these are the new guys that's coming in, so let's go speak to them and see what they want. So Montezuma said, well, bring them to me. So as they brought him to him, he, as a political person, because politics is politics, he's looking at them as a means to reinforce his position amongst the people that want to oust him out as king. You see what I'm saying? So he goes to Cortez and says, look, man, what you could do is we have this god named Quetzalcoatl. So Quetzalcoatl, who is the god, he is the one that's expected to come back. So you, Islam, the B. So yeah, that's the B, right? Yeah. Quetzalcoatl, they was waiting for him to come back. So what we'll do, we'll act like you're Quetzalcoatl, and then you'll come in as Quetzalcoatl incarnate, and then refortify my position. See what I'm saying, with the people as the herald of Quetzalcoatl, and then we could both get money off everybody together. And then Cortez was like, "Oh, word, okay, great, let's do that." And then right when he brought him amongst the people to set off the lie, he seized Montezuma and held him hostage, ransom. And then basically the people now, they not really used to fighting like that. Like they had wars and stuff, but a lot of the wars back then wasn't won through physical violence. A lot of the wars was won based on the ball game we used to do. It was based on endurance tests. Like the young Apaches, especially in the eastern section, northeastern section, used to have to do things like go into the grizzly bear's den and smack it in the nose and have it chase you out to the village, and you'd have to kill it and then bring the skin back to the people, and that's how you became a man. That was like our bar mitzvah. You know what I'm saying? Another way they would do it is they would get you'd have to show feats of strength. You know what I'm saying? Who throw the javelin the farthest? Who do this the farthest? So physical conflict war wasn't such a predominant thing amongst us like that. But again, Quetzalcoatl, All of this is coming at a time where we're going through this upheaval now, because all of us being deposed from what happened to us in Spain, and now our so-called Christian cousins is bringing their amalgamated beast men from the caves of Europe and sicking them on us. You know what I'm saying? Because of the jealousy. So once Montezuma became hostage, that means all of the lands that he had was then hostage, which then means that the Mayan people was then hostage of the Spanish people, you see. And then they started to extend the jurisdiction all the way from the Pyramid of the Sun that they had all the way up here. So when we're speaking about the actual castle, when you look at how it's structured, you see it's hollowed out like a curve, like a crescent moon, right? And then if you look at the middle part of the building, that's the body, and then the bird wings is going out. You know what I'm saying? So it's a phoenix within itself right there, which is why you have what you call Aries. Aries, when they would build it, where they would actually put holes into the rock, so that way the hawks and the crows and the, what you call it, the condors would nest there, and they would do rituals with the condor eggs and what you call it eggs as a means to bring about the better harvest and the better people. But all of that started to switch up. So then jump ahead now to the prior to Cortez coming, you had the Mongol invasion coming with Genghis and them having people come over to Bering Strait, and then you had them coming back from the South Pacific on the China side all the way to now South America on the Peru side. So you had an invasion kind of going like this, which is why we repelled them in the south for as long as we could. And then in 1311, the Moors of the Mandinka Empire, big up to the Mandinka and the Malian Empire, they heard what was going on, and Abu Bakari paid for his cousin, his brother, I believe. No, Mansa Musa paid for his brother Abu Bakari to send fleets over here and help us shut that down. And that's exactly what happened. Then those Moors that came and shut it down, in terms of shut down the invasion, they all began to be adopted into the native peoples that was already here, because we had the Eagle Bowl Treaty. We had the Treaty of the Turtle Shell. We had certain things already set up because we was really the same people. The problem is they got us thinking Europe or England and all that stuff was over there. But when we look at exotic maps of the United States, we find that most of these things was already over here, as well as a lot of the actual maps that they have in places like the BIA and these places. A lot of these Moors that's talking all of this stuff about indigenous rights and aboriginal this and what they could do this. A lot of these Moors, they ain't never seen an abstract title. They ain't never seen a plat map. They ain't never seen a master plot map. Like, they ain't never seen none of this stuff. So when you get those of us that know, you can't tell me that this was built by an Indian. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the Indians. Look at them more. Look at the sheiks. Look at them more. These is the so-called Indians. These is the same people that was here when this was going down. So we're the same people. How is it that we have been disconnected from the whole thing? We're disconnected because we keep looking at ourselves and our history through the eyes of a caveman. And a caveman is never going to see the sun for what it is, because his eyes is not adapted for that, because he's lived in holes their whole life. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the establishment, also the fact they call this a castle means that they're dealing with some sort of nobility
Castile.
and some sort of title, right? Castile, right? Dealing with some sort of artifice that's dealing with the majesty of the people. But again, we're not in so-called Mexico. I mean, we're in Mexico, but we're not in Mexico in the continental sense. But the dominion from one place can extend all the way to the next. And this is the actual proof of that. So what happens is when they see us actually here inhabit doing what we're doing, it makes them somewhat nervous, because this is now a refresher. Like, their ancestors told them that the time was going to come and they was going to wake up. So y'all got to do everything y'all could do now to keep these Negroes as dumb, deaf, and blind as possible. But when the light go back on, that's it. So the fact that we're all out here in almost this is the 90th year that the prophet has been gone, bless the dead. And the fact that we're all in our right minds, we all inhabit, we all about our nationality, and we're striving to practice love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, this was already foretold for us. So we're basically just catching up to the point in the future that we start to run things again. So as everything starts to break down around us, we can think and go back and read books, like I said, like America by Ogilvy. Ogilvy. That book now is about $500,000, but you can find a PDF of it if you really look. There's another book called Montezuma's Revenge. That's another thing. That's an actual sickness that developed because they said that right on his deathbed, right before they was gonna kill him, that he cursed them and said that he would come back. He would come back within them and kill them from the inside, the way that they came to his empire and did that. So there's a disease, a sickness called Montezuma's Revenge, where when you get right, Montezuma's Revenge, where you get it, where they say you can't drink the water in Mexico or that, because if you drink it, that's, they said that he basically put his essence in the water and poisoned all the colonialists from that point on, in essence wise. So this disease or this sickness that will come from that, they basically saying is the remnant of that, his revenge on the people who took the kingdom. Because after Cortez and them came and shut it down, they said, oh, this is how y'all fight? And then they pulled out the guns and the cannons and basically just mowed them all down. And then the other tribal dancers, they actually would have like dance offs where they would like dance against each other. Right? Nah, he deaded that, killed all of them, the dancers, killed all of that, to the point where they realized, oh, we're actually gonna have to really fight. Because we had been peace from the Mongol invasions from before that. So we had shut all that down. Matter of fact, the Treaty of Peace, how we wound up getting these Mexican-looking Indian people was because of the exodus of the Hindus from Hindustan, the Huns, Genghis and them, sending them over with their little invasion force. But then after that was dead, they created what they call it was something called the Eagle Bowl Treaty, and in that it allowed the descendants of that conflict to have land around where the mound builders at, because we're the mound builders. We're the ones that was building the pyramids, the mounds, all of that, the cities, the ancient cultures, whatever. And then you had what you call the hunter-gatherers. These were the nomadic ones that were used to the life on the steppes, like what you see in Mongolia. So if you see, type in a picture of native indigenous Siberians, and you type in a picture, and then you type in Native American, type in Siberian teepees, type in Native American teepees, and what you're going to see is the same people, the same phenotypically looking people, just one in Siberia and one over here in Montana. You know what I'm saying? But just because they've been here for about 17,000 years don't mean that they from here, and that's what we got to understand. Just because the people that's there over there in Egypt now look Arabic, that don't mean that the people who was there at the time Egypt was popping was Arabs. You see what I'm saying? It's totally different. You got to understand, everything happens through migration. And when they want to take people land and de-designate them, they need to take them away from the stuff that they used to. So if you come from a culture where you eat real healthy and you eat real, good food and all that, but then you get forced to another culture and now you just got to eat fast food all day, your body's going to have a reaction to that. So now that our reaction, we done past the phase of being sick, this is the time now to just celebrate the fact that we're moving on to this phase of cohesion, where we all come together. So big up to Montezuma, big up to the old empire, big up to the Aztecs and the Inca. You can also look it up. Charles V was the first European emperor, Moorish European emperor, to sit on the Inca throne. And then from there, he was able to use that dominion to extend his dominion of the Inca all the way up to what we now today call North and South Carolina, which then established what they call the Carolingian dynasty, which then brought forth people like Charlotte, you see what I'm saying, George, and the rest of what they call the old monarchy, old Moorish monarchy in Europa. So, yeah, man, we here. So yeah, man, please get a picture of the Moors. Because we out here, like I said, it's hard for them. It's hard for them when they walk by and have to just see us just in the splendor. It's hard. Because I tell you, I guarantee you, if we was just up in here with a bunch of baggy shorts and sagging pants and baseball hats, it'd have been no problem. But there's an energy in which when you're unified and you in unit, the energy that's coming through got to go around. You know what I'm saying? And so the problem is we're letting too many people through our cipher when we got to just keep it tight. And like I said, the way that things is moving now, as it stands, Montezuma's revenge is now manifested in us. Inshallah. So, Islam.
Yeah, that's like in Shaka Zulu. They never fought, they just...
That's right. Until Shaka was like, what are y'all doing? He's like, what? I gotta get it popping out here.
I just watched that again. I just
saw it, right?
the other night.
But it was the same thing that when Shaka he had a ritual that he did in order to change the way that they fought.
That's right.
Same thing that was going on. They had did that ritual.
That's right.
And now they had to fight a different way. Same thing with
And look at
Montezuma.
how Shaka Zulu, how the Zulus will wear their joints.
Oh, they look just like the Mayans.
And then look at the Mayans. It's
Just
the
like the
same
Mayans.
thing. Look at the picture of Montezuma. It's the same thing. The same color people.
Yeah.
But they want to make it.
There's a guy in Mexico that actually was fighting. He looked just like Shaka.
Did, right?
You know what I'm saying? And they got a statue of him and everything.
You talking about John Horse?
There you go.
You talking about John
You know what I'm
Horse?
talking about?
John Horse from the Seminoles.
Right.
The Seminoles.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was
John
a tracker,
Horse, man.
tracker too.
Yeah,
So
more.
in that film, Shaka, make sure you go back and watch Dingy's Wild. Is that his name? Dingy's Wild or Dingy's Wild? He's the gentleman that actually showed Shaka Mortal Kombat. Dingy's Wild, I believe is Dingy's Wild. He met him. He met him in battle. Remember the guy who was injured?
Yeah.
That's the guy who actually showed Shaka Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Yeah, 'cause he's...
Yeah.
Wow.
The king.
Dingy's
The other
Wild.
king, the one that
yeah.
he
The
saved.
king.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he-
yeah.
Yeah. That
Yep.
later on. Yeah,
Because he was only using the spear, and then he started